Hello everyone, welcome to Raising Vibrations. You with Simon, and today I'm excited to be finally beginning the next phase of the Cosmic Creator series, and we're in episode 3 today, and we're doing the dance. And wow, it's been a long time since I've been able to actually complete this next video. The irony of the situation is that the information and the way that I was going to share the Cosmic Creator series episode 3 to you had a lot of elements to it that needed deeper integration. And even though my mental ego, personal self wanted to get this done in a way where it was sort of every week, etc., there was a deeper need to come with this information on a more advanced level. So today is the part 3, and the dance that it is that I'm talking about today has got a lot to do with the actual nature of how creation manifests itself on this physical plane. Okay, and in reference, we're talking about the nature of masculinity and femininity, or the negative pole and the positive pole. Okay, so just to kind of give us a little bit of context in relationship to what we're actually doing over here, I feel it's really important to just kind of go back a little bit and talk about the nature of episode 1 and episode 2. In episode 1, we recognized the nature of our incarnation. We understood that each of us comes onto this plane, incarnates into this plane for whatever reason it might be. And our personal journey is to then go back up the spine, or go back up to the arena that it is that we incarnated from. And the journey that it takes, or the journey that we go along, is what it is, right? So we're seeking back to return. Now, each of us has these separating desires that must be fulfilled in order for us to return to that source. Now, of course, again, that is the journey. The journey is accomplishing those natural desires, following the natural way in which you are operating yourself in this life, and then through that experience, grounding all the wisdom and understanding, and then at some point leaving the legacy, right? Then we recognized in episode 2 that as we incarnated onto this plane, there are specific earthly dynamics that must be completely and utterly understood in order for us to then ascend to the greater heights. So we needed the fire-based ego, the sense of limitation that it is that represents this earthly existence. Okay, so to make it more clearer, in the sense of us incarnating onto the physical plane, the body and the fire-based 5 senses, the ego, represents the vehicle we use to experience this 3rd dimensional plane, and then of course to connect to 5th dimensional awareness, and to anchor that consistently into our bodies. All right. Now, the 3rd element to this experience, and the 3rd need or step in understanding and then integrating ourselves fully into this journey, is realizing the modality, okay? The energy patterns, the realm in which we then engage with, experience ourselves in, okay? Right? And those 2 elements that it is that we're talking about, as I mentioned before, is the masculine energy and the feminine energy, okay? So there are many different types of ways in which we can define this. We can define this through the nature of let's choose astrology, okay, as an example. Astrology reflects to us earth elements and water elements. That would be femininity, yin energy, right? Yin. Masculine energy then would be represented through the fire elements, so the fire and the air, okay? That would be masculine, right? Yang energy, expressive, energy moving outward. Okay, so so we have the astrology definitions of it. We have the yin energy and yang energy, and then we have the yin yang, as you can see there, masculinity and femininity playing a part. We can look at the fact that there are 2 types of genders. We have male and we have female. Okay, we notice that in nature there's always going to be types of creatures, etc., that have got one expression, active expression, masculine or penetrating, and one expression which is feminine. Okay, and this is receptivity. So as we get into this here, we start to recognize the two natural elements in which we are understanding. We are seeing expression and we are seeing reception. Okay, if we bring it a little bit closer to home and we observe the true genders that we have on Earth, we can see, or from the human perspective, we have the male, which is forward moving, expressive, action oriented, and then we have the feminine, which is receptive. Okay, so mother, father, as an example, those two archetypal structures are played within our human experience. But if we had to remove the human overlay and just observe the nature of creation as it is, perceived by our human identity, then what we have is these two polarities, okay, poles, right? And the pole for masculinity would be, in this case, higher consciousness, knowledge, all right? And then femininity would be then the all receptive or earth element or grounded expression, okay, or receiving in that sense, but wisdom, okay, right? So she would be the feminine archetype. So Mother Earth in itself has got this feminine archetypal structure to it. And then what we do as human beings, and this is what we'll get onto in the fourth episode, is the nature of creation. And of course, we need to understand these two polarities first in order for us to understand the totality of creation. All right, because we can see that when we create or manifest, the nature in human experience is sexuality, right, from a physical perspective. However, on a multidimensional level, in terms of physical level, we've got the act of sex itself. In the spiritual plane, that would be the merging of two elemental energies, okay, or energies themselves, here to co-create. And then their descent into the physical plane would be then a manifestation of a third entity, a third being, a child, which the father, in this case, spreads the seed, okay, masculinity, and then the feminine energy or mother receives the energy that then harnesses and grows the baby in the womb for gestation period, okay? And we can observe this in nature. So we can see that there is these two elements that are consistently dancing in between each other, okay? And this is what I wanted to show you in this picture over here. We've got this beautiful imagery of Shakti and Shiva, okay? And we've got this imagery of Christ and Magdalena. So, and then of course the goblet, which is that quest over there to the Christ consciousness, as it were. When the two masculine or feminine and masculine energies meet, we create that co-creation. But I don't want to go too ahead in terms of the nature of this, but you can see through ancient texts, you can see through the nature of how we as human beings have evolved over periods of time, the imagery that has been presented has reflected these main archetypes, okay? And so it's essential for us to really get connected with their meaning if we are to truly understand the nature of what we are potentially capable of, what we use to operate when we manifest stuff, and so on and so forth. Both of them are present, and they're right here in our world. In fact, if we had to take any form of animated object away and we just observed the nature of you watching this broadcast, you'd notice that there was electricity that's involved, and there would be the blue electrical field, and then there would be the red electrical field. In fact, even in the body, we have both of those elements running. We have the nervous system and we have the blood system representing the masculine and the nervous system representing the feminine. But why? Because the nervous system reflects the nature of receiving information relative to the environment, whereas the blood system is transporting the energy that is allowing for the nature of our brain to access, to be conscious, to travel. So we can see here that these elements are presented within ourselves, okay? And we can see here that they're intertwined in a very intimate way. just as everything in creation is. So what is occurring here, if you pay attention to the nature of the letters, and this is of course what Santos Bonacci brought through with his word of atom, which was that if you look at the A, okay, the letter A, the capital letter that is, right? And you observe that at one point there was creation, and or should I say there was source, okay? And then from source, was there a natural splitting of energy moving down the left and right, okay? Have you noticed that on the A, there's two lines that separate from the center and then create literally two separate lines going in different directions. And then at some point in the middle over there, there's a connection between the two lines. And that, my friends, is something that is so incredibly profound to understand about the nature of creation itself and how it merges. The secrets are in there. That in our lives, we are seeking, okay? We are seeking to find equilibrium within our nature. And this is why it's called the dance. Because it's like the need and necessity for recognizing that in order for us to stay equal, to stay balanced and holistic, we need to recognize how to balance both our masculinity and our femininity in our lives, okay? When to be receptive and open and nurturing, when to be protective, forward-moving and direction-orientated. And it's every single moment and every single experience that we're consciously integrating and finding ourselves interfacing with will always have this kind of tango between how to merge being receptive and expressive. And one thing that I've noticed within my own personal journey is that to recognize how to do that in myself is in the nature of breath. And I always leave this to the last because it's such an incredibly powerful thing to recognize about our journey, to self-study ourselves, to understand the dynamics that are occurring for us. The breath. There's this notion, this idea of receptivity and filling ourselves up with expression and expanding. And then masculine energy, which is to breathe out. Yin, yang. And when we observe the A, and we notice that the A then splits off into two, the next phase in creation is that expression of masculine, feminine, okay? It's how they emerge, how they're expressing, day and night, as it were, all right? And they intertwine. And so what they do is they naturally create these experiences within our lives that allow us to find the balancing point, okay? To find the balancing point. So an example that I could maybe use to amplify this even more is that our breath is the nature of how we interchange energy within ourselves, okay? And you can see this everywhere. Like I said, in nature, you can see it everywhere in terms of how trees work, for an example. Even the technology we create to a certain degree contains both masculinity and femininity in it, in some degree, right? A computer screen reveals to us what's on the screen and we're receptive to it, and yet when we're typing on a computer's keyboard, we're expressing, right? The other way around is that you're hearing this information from me, so you're being receptive to the nature of my knowledge in that way, or sharing of information, and yet at the same time I'm expressing it. So even us at this point in time are in that consistent dance of masculine, feminine energy, okay? So it's moving and it's coexisting consistently all the time. And it's a beautiful, beautiful experience of higher consciousness being laid into feminine consciousness, right? Into the feminine energy of receptivity and openness and depth. And this is what I want to do now, is kind of allow us to go deeper into the nature of masculinity and femininity and how it operates on a natural occurrence, okay? Most of us experience higher consciousness as this need for enlightenment and to ascend into greater technological advancements and to be all direction orientated. And, you know, through patriarchy, the man consciousness, the masculine consciousness has been heavily distorted through control and oppression and domination. Okay, and we all carry with us to a certain degree in our collective DNA these lifetimes where this has happened. So of course it's natural for us to even feel some of the own trauma and wounds regarding being oppressed, being suppressed and such, but then also getting angry and being a suppressor. the healthy expression of masculine energy, it actually comes through the nature of recognizing how to improve our cycle on Earth, feminine energy. And this is why I think it's incredibly important for us to really critically think about the nature of what it is that we use our masculine energy for and how we direct it. And so hopefully in this experience, I can also kind of in some way, shape or form, inspire you to seek and to activate and to operate and to vibrate from the masculine place within yourself that is not distorted. Okay. And this is how it goes. Feminine energy is the earth. We incarnated onto this plane of existence for a reason. She shows us depth. She shows us compassion and empathy. She shows us the ability to be nurturing and caring, okay? To understand depth. It's a big thing, right? You know that moment where you really feel into somebody else's soul and you feel connected with that, and it's such a deep sense of communion with something so incredibly profound. And it's almost silence that really allows us to feel that, the watery depths of the energy. And if you look at the feminine archetype in itself, the femininity, or should I say the feminine, right? Just work with that there. There's this deep understanding and wisdom that gets created when we understand our journeys and see our life on earth as this growing realization that we are here to nurture the heart. We are here to understand the heart. We are here to deepen our connection with the source. But we can only establish that deep connection within ourselves through our life experiences. And so the feminine archetype holds space for us to grow through our mistakes, through our lessons, through our journey. And what the masculine energy does is gives us the courage to explore those avenues and to find out what it means to experience life. And to give ourselves that necessary feeling of direction about how to action things. But it also gives us the understanding that when we are in a place within ourselves where we seek to evolve us, the alignment of the masculine energy is rooted in in supporting the femininity and healing the heart. So as an example, say for instance, 120 years ago, okay, if we decided, or if you had say for instance, you and a friend decided to go different pathways, and you said, okay, well, you're always going to write to each other because you feel like there's this deep need to still be in communion with each other because you've spent a large period of your upgrowing life connected and feeling, like you're going to miss each other. There's this emotion that is associated, there's this bond, and you don't want to lose it because now as you go across in different directions to explore the nature of yourselves, that there will be this loss. Now, what I'm saying here is that light, masculine energy, is not able, or has not been able to actually give ourselves the necessary technological advancements to reduce that length of time we have when in between dialogues. Okay, so at the moment we took a pen and a paper and we wrote to each other and we sent it off in the post, and whatever construction we had that would facilitate the process of a letter going from one place to another would be in direct proportion to the time we had to wait. So at that stage, waiting for a letter to return or to come to us could be ages, right, for that communion. And so much would have happened in that period of time. Whereas now, if you look at the nature of our lives right now, if you see our pain, if you see the nature of our duality and our suffering that we've experienced on earth, not on a sort of like victimized level, I'm not talking suffering from victimization, I mean suffering from the sense of allowing ourselves to experience more of the juiciness and beauty that the feminine energy presents for us. Okay, that's what I mean by that, right? So there's darkness. So what I'm saying here is that we now look at the 21st century, and particularly right now, okay? You decided to travel to, say, for instance, New Zealand, okay? Your communication with your parents, your best friends, etc., would be still instant because not only we have Facebook and things like Instagram and all these wonderful technological advancements that we've created within ourselves, we also have Skype and Zoom and all these things. So we never actually lose contact. Yes, fair enough. It's still going to be on a level where it's like more artificial because we're not in physical form, but we still have that connection instantly, and we still are up to date with our lives, thanks to the masculine energy of construction and building and bringing light and allowing ourselves to make things more efficient and proactive for us. Because the matriarchal energy of femininity is about being in cyclical form, whereas the masculine is about living through the heart and expanding and being in joy and finding out and seeking more greater advancements and making life easier for us and so on and so forth, creating more time available, etc. Yet, as we experience this technological advancement, we also then, at the same time, find ourselves disassociating and being distracted, and then finding ourselves actually disconnecting from nature, Mother Nature, in that way as well. Because how many of you have managed to actually go out into nature for a period of time without feeling like this withdrawal symptom regarding technology? And it's a whole new different discussion to talk about. But you can see here that what I'm trying to show you is that we're consistently always intertwining in our reality with this masculine, feminine expression all the time. However, in our lives, what we would want to use this energy for is to find and seek greater ways to expand our communion with nature, not against her, okay, or not out of touch with her. So we want to use technology to bring us closer to self-realization, not to detach us into distractions of complete obliviousness, okay? How many times have you found yourself spaced out on Facebook doing completely, absolutely nothing, and then realizing, oh my God, I've done absolutely nothing in this period of time, which to a certain degree can be fun, but on another level, it's just like, that's it. You haven't been present, you've been spaced out. And part of the program is actually designed for that reasoning. And so you could be finding yourself not manifesting and following your dreams and deeper communion with Source and being active within your expression because there's distraction there. So again, the Shakti Shiva, which you see on the left-hand side over there, right-hand side over there, is this beautiful combination of destruction and creation and destruction and creation, involution, evolution, involution, evolution, and this constant breathing of in and out. I'm inspired, I'm not inspired. I'm inspired, I'm not inspired. And this is what we have. This is our creation, right? Electromagnetic spectrum. The dance is always consistent here. You gain energy by doing a job, masculine energy, and then you purchase things and you use your magnetic strip. Femininity is about magnetism, okay? Electric is about masculinity. It sparks it, it gets it going. It's like, yeah, what am I inspired to do? What am I jacked up and ready to go about in my day? And the feminine energy is, how do I ground that currency into my physical? How do I bring more of my sense of essence into me? And this picture over here beautifully explains the nature of the masculine and feminine archetype within our consciousness, and both of them representing these opposite and yet simultaneous poles. You know, this is who we are. This is fundamentally, on an energetic level, what it is that we are. There is the masculine energy pulsating from the top, and here is the feminine energy, allowing that energy to be grounded into the currency, to be actually divided and experienced into wisdom, so that we can experience that which it is that we found enlightenment through, ideas, and yet then we experience it in the physical. So before I created this video and this video series, I'd found myself deeply inspired and ecstatic, and also to a certain degree really finding myself electrified through this experience. And so by grounding it into my physical body, I then was allowed to not only live the experience, but also then talk from a deep intuitive way that would convey this message. And so this would be the natural dance of higher consciousness being fulfilled into the body and experienced and then expressed, and allowing us to consistently be this way as co-creators. That is the highest potential here, is that both of these poles, one being black and the other one being white, holds the space for us to vibrate in the middle. So light is consistently bouncing off the two. And what happens is that as we are in this vortex, we naturally create the electromagnetic spectrum that we live within. So that is what the masculine and feminine energy is about. It's this creation of this bubble between the two and how we experience that energy form within ourselves. One thing that has been spoken about quite a lot that I feel like needs to be highly grounded is the nature of twin flames. And in my opinion, the nature of twin flames themselves is two polarities that when interacting with each other create a third dimensional reality. In other words, a co-created experience. It's like the Vesica Pisces. One flower of life superlaid over another flower of life. The third entity creates the natural Christ consciousness state, the child. Okay? And what happens here is that our physical incarnations, because of our nature of our consciousness being trapped into the fifth third dimension ego, what we have been capable of creating has literally just been physical incarnations. Whereas now we get this opportunity to transcend that, operate in those higher dimensional states through the nature of wisdom, love, and acceptance and understanding, etc., and then incarnate those higher knowledgeable truths from that dimension into the physical, therefore making the physical more illuminated. In other words, you're not using the five senses as the limitations of your expression. You're actually using the infiniteness of yourself and then bringing it into the physical and then manifesting it through those both polarities. It's incredibly profound to really grasp this in a deep, deep way and recognize that we do this on a day-to-day basis. In fact, like I said, this video in itself is exactly that. These ideas and thoughts are grounded into the receptive energies of the microphone, etc. And then of course the recording program, it captures it. And so as it's been captured, it now gets uploaded to YouTube, which then allows you to watch it. And now you're downloading the nature of my consciousness in that way, allowing your own expansion to exist. And this is the infinite potential that exists for us as we dance between masculinity and femininity. And this is how the dance between the twin flames exists. That twin flames are two energy patterns that operate within each other and out with each other, and they're consistently balancing each other in that way. And yet the nature of the ego must be aligned with the source. Otherwise it cannot operate. There cannot be the sense of external attachments, because the moment there is, they will clash. It's a fascinating thing to do. All right, guys, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share this with you today. I really hope that it expanded your consciousness. Give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Share it with anybody that you find this will appeal to you. And other than that, be sure to check out for episode 4. We're coming out hopefully very soon. Other than that, have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.